we are. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, all you folks out there. 'Tis the season to be merry, hopefully. Hope you had a good one. Anyway, sort of, it was still a holiday, even though for most people it was just a normal day in their locked room, wasn't it? Yes. Never mind. They did have different things on TV and on the web and in virtual worlds, celebrations here, there, and everywhere to try and make it seem a little bit festive. And an addition of a few twinkling coloured lights makes all the difference to the environment. Whether you've got a tree or not is beside the point. Right. Anyway. Obviously, it hasn't been quite as busy a week as it normally is. Although surprisingly, I do have quite a few links to bring you. So this is Metaworld News, and we talk about virtual worlds and virtual reality, how a haptic technology, really, I suppose. And my name is Mal Burns, MAL, one word, BURNS, second thing. But to find me on Twitter, you've got to go twitter.com/ and then Mal Burns, all one word, MALBURNS. They squashed me, but there again, they squashed me everywhere on the web. Don't know. What's the world coming to? We
I
can't
don't
even have
know.
a super highway without being squashed.
Ha.
It's like lemmings on the motorway, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where we even get squashed on the superhighway. Anyway, we have an additional feed too, which is actually twitter.com/MetaWorld News. Again, two words squashed into one. Now, the main feed is the feed I'll be reading links out from mostly, or where you can find them. It's a sort of general focus overview feed. The MetaWorld News feed contains some stuff um, related to actual virtual worlds, immersive spaces on the web. And believe it or not, I do have another Twitter feed, which is a grand old Twitter feed. We're at twitter.com, um, Malburns underscore writer. And the M of Malburns and the W of writer are in capitals. And the underscore separates the two. This is my first ever Twitter feed, which is now, I don't know. Well, it was Twitter was still in beta, would you believe, when I got
Hmm.
the account. So that was a long while ago now. It's
I
hard to
would believe
realise.
it. I believe it.
Um, yeah. Um, Malburn's writer equally is the name of my avatar in that grand old platform, Second Life. Which so it's a separate feed for arts and destinations in Second Life. Now I don't really feature that here as a rule because it's too much and sort of a bit diversionary anyway. Um, but I mention it on this occasion because it's obviously got well arts and destinations, most of them snow-covered landscapes and things at the moment. But when I first joined Second Life way back, what was it, 18 years ago now or something? I don't know. Um, you, I wasn't able to have Mal Burns, so I had to have Mal Burns and then choose a surname. And one of the surnames you could choose from was Writer, and I thought that came closest to what I was doing. So I became the Mal Burns Writer, otherwise known as the Purple One, because I found a purple costume and a default hair and didn't change it for about 3 years until people started saying you really got to do something about your looks, mate. Mostly women. Eventually, I was descended on by a whole group of women who insisted on making me over.
Oh my.
So I just lay there and let them, didn't I? Yeah.
Sure.
What else do you do? What else do you do? Yeah. Um, anyway. Oh, it's giving me that key work phone frequency business. Never mind. Right. So, yeah, on with the news, I guess. Now, I've got a graphic up at the moment. 2020 unloading. I guess. Oh, sorry.
Uh,
I barely started the intro, have I?
no.
Right, now these are the headlines, believe it or not. After all the talk, you probably guessed, but these are my headlines for the week ending the 27th of December of the year 2020, which means we just passed the X day, and we're heading to what purport to be a new year. And so 2020, as you can see, is now unloading. only a couple of days, this time next week for sure, we will have loaded 2021. Whether it's any different from 2020, I don't know. At short notice, I probably won't feel like it. You can now make your 2021 resolutions, but then again, you might have resolution block, as in writer's block. I don't know. Anyway, let's go on with it. So I am Mal Burns, as I said earlier. I also have somebody sitting next to me. He's got 2020 on his head. Maybe he's got it on his mind too. I don't know. It's James Atlar. Welcome, James.
Well, thank you, Mal. It's good to be here as always. Yeah, I found when shopping in the Sansar store today, and I found this lovely hat by from Jamal's store, and then I also I found a shirt. So first of all, here's the lovely 2020 shirt. So Happy New Year. And then I found this shirt from another store. It's from let me bring up the name here. This is Wolf and
Yes.
Howler store. Wolf and Howler
Oh,
store, and it says, "Please don't end Sansar." And I thought, well, that sounds good for the end of the year. Please don't end
yeah.
Sansar. That would that'd be glad for that. I don't
Yeah, it
think there's
sounds like it's
any
good.
concern about ending Sansar, but
No, neither do I. Stuff going on and everything else, but
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's just manufactured a T-shirt for posterity in case anybody needs it at some future point.
right.
Oh, that's a bit pessimistic, though, isn't it?
Uh,
Come on, when we're in lockdown, we need Sansa and the other places more than ever.
right, right.
Anyway, good luck to him. He'll probably sell a few T-shirts. Right. um, okay, that's good. Well, behind the scenes, James is also twiddling some knobs. He manages to switch from my desktop to various things and the view of our news desk in World and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he's broadcasting the video up to YouTube as we go. I, on the other hand, will be projecting my desktop to enhance my news reading, so to speak. Okay, now I'm going to start off with a special which may be a bit naughty. Um, find that picture. Let me do that picture bit first to get it out of the way, shall we? We're
Mm-hmm.
unloading 2020, right? Okay. Ooh, right. Well, there's always a couple of things, aren't there? And right. Caitlin Meeks, she of Sansar here. What am I talking about? Tivoli, sorry. Had a tweet up inviting you to follow Tivoli's experimenting talking toaster. Now, you can't actually see it
Mm.
in this picture. This is just a screenshot, but they've made a talking toaster which is artificially intelligent and it tweets in the
Nice.
ML generated product or something. Now, I haven't actually tried it out, and that's a bit of a complicated all to sort of see. But if you go into Tivoli Cloud VR, you can talk to a toaster and it connects with Twitter somehow.
Hurrah.
So, anyway, sort of interesting that, wasn't it? Right, now this is just funny. Bumble, right, is like a dating app. Who, like many of these companies, don't want to get into trouble for being a bit more risque than they need to be. So apparently, if you photograph yourself in a bikini, like on the beach or outdoors, somewhere where you would be wearing a bikini, then however provocative it is, that is okay. But the moment you wear such a thing indoors, it's immediately considered to be underwear, which is banned.
Mm.
Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
It's many years now since certain styles of underwear and certain styles of swimwear have been indistinguishable to me. Anyway, Bumble is bumbling around on the web, doing its things on well, it's on Android and iOS, but I couldn't resist that one. I just clipped the headline of the news article. Um, what was it? Oh, this well, talking of Second Life, this was a panel yesterday, in fact, so which I went to. It was quite interesting, even though I didn't really know
Hmm.
Well, I know Phil Youngblood from Twitter, but I didn't really know the others. But it was 2.5 hours, and it was actually two. They changed the panel halfway through and had a brief interlude with somebody playing piano for about 5 minutes. But it's good. It was at the Science Circle in Second Life, which is where, well, he stopped doing them again now, but where Pathfinder Lester was doing his office hours and things. Right, so that was that. There's something else here, I know, but oh, there it is. Right, right. I'm gonna. If you've got 1 million UK pound to spare, not forgetting VAT, which I think would be. Let's see, 1 million, 1,000, VAT is 15%. Oh, the VAT would be a major buy in itself. Go and zoom in here just so you can, or give you, and so you can maybe see what this thing is. It is relevant to us, though, actually. That picture is like, you know, when I want to superimpose myself on the fake background, I've got a green sheet that I can put behind me. It used to be blue when Superman started flying, but
Hmm.
these days it's green because it's better for digital. Um, and that is a 7 meter times 4.5 meter LED XR stage solution, which means that the walls there and the floor are actually LED displays. So you can display on those, for example, the virtual environment, and then point your cameras in the real world to film somebody who's, offset in the virtual environment. It seems very expensive, considering all you really need to do that. You could almost rig it yourself and use a color. Well, no. I mean, it's the LED displays are basically what you're paying for, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
And
it's
that's
going to
it's
cost you.
interesting. That's a technique being used in the Mandalorian series on Disney.
Yeah,
A lot of yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Change from being all
yeah.
computer generated and overlaid, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, that's bigger than I could fit in any room, but if I
Yeah,
had £1 million to spare, that might be a bargain, but £1 million, £1 million for most
yeah,
people,
yeah.
and I can't see too many people buying it. You do get support as well,
Good. That's
and
positive.
it claims to work with all camera systems. It's got 3D camera tracking solutions, 3 times Gobox mini servers, a Gobox media server, a Brompton LED processors, 2 times 7 meter done 4 meter black diamond LED walls,
Wow.
um, a marble LED floor, LED ground tracking system, worldwide delivery and support, AR VR lens encoding, installation and training. I think I've read them all out there. I don't think they're very easy for you to see because they're a bit bad for me to read actually.
Yeah.
But it's a screenshot and I just blew that. But I thought that was kind of fascinating. I can't remember, I obviously had the page open when I read it, but I don't think any of my viewers particularly are going to be coughing up £1 million to get something like that at the moment. Who
You never
knows?
know. Who
But I
knows,
say who
right?
knows? Maybe Linda Labs or one of their franchises might just be interested in this thing. Which brings me to a kind of strange opening surprise, other than my pictures. Just going to go back to that one again, just so that there's something hanging around here when the next thing auto finishes. Right, okay. So I'm going to pull forward my media player. And what do you see there? Well, you recognize the hand logo. That's definitely Linden Labs Second Life. And the word Second Life is the right typeface. It's even got its trademark behind it. So, what on earth is to see behind the scenes at Second Life? Well, this is a bit of a shocker. I'm going to add that this went online for very short period of time before somebody at Linden Labs. It was on their account, by the way, but I think they put it up by accident because they haven't released any information about this to the public yet, as far as I know. But it does look like fun, as you're about to see. So, interesting stuff there. Glad to see also. Well, it's obviously very, very real. I can assure you of that. That's not a deep fake video. Um, don't know what's happening. It's very contemporary too. I mean, you could see if you're looking carefully all the COVID protection and stuff in place there. So they're obviously filming in the, still filming in the safe environment, should we say? Um, I am not sure. Is it an independent production that has licensed a second, some kind of story based on the idea of people in Second Life? Or is it something sponsored by the lab to help promote Second Life? It's certainly not a 3 minute dragster short. It obviously goes well beyond that. I didn't see any lab faces in the production crew there, but of course they were all wearing face masks, so it wasn't the easiest thing to tell. But yeah, interesting stuff. How long before we find out what it is or anything more about it, I don't know. And sad to say, you can no longer view it out on YouTube. It was posted by Linden Lab on their account or on the Second Life, yeah, on the Second Life YouTube channel, but has been taken down since. Wonder why? Wonder why? Mysteries of the metaverse never cease, do they?
Mm-mm.
Anyway, let's get back to normal, as it were. Now, the Malbones feed on Twitter, of course. Starting off this week, December 21st, was a look back at the week before that. It's the regular Scarred Ghost post, the XR Wheat Peak, and you'll find it at scarredghost.com. That's SKARRIEDGHOST.com. And you've got something to say about that, haven't you, James? We now have a sound effect for something ghostly, as in the
Ghostly.
Scarred Ghost, as in the Scarred Ghost. Anyway, um, so another short one, winter holidays are here, etc. Um, he's also getting very keen because he's part of the organising. He is in France, I believe. Skull Ghost always has. He's part of organising the VR concert for Jean-Georges Jarre. Sorry, Jean-Michel Jarre. Oh dear, tongue
Hmm.
twisters, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to be happening on New Year's Eve. Um, and it's basically Jarre is performing outside, socially isolated, of course, outside Notre Dame, but you will see him as if he was in there because it's in a virtual Notre Dame, and it's quite long. It's a decently length concert as well. It's not just a quick, 15-minute VR thing, as far as I can tell. Um, so anyway, you can follow his links and find out more. He's looking at new eyes and various other stuff that we looked at there. I'm not going to scroll down this because we'll just end up, rehashing stuff that we featured last week. But it's a good site to go to if you just want a weekly roundup, and it publishes every Monday. And I assume this coming Monday will be no different. So XR Wheat Peak at scarredghost.com. Right now, okay, I'm going to go back to the main tech stuff in a while, but I'm going to no, I'm going to continue down my list of it. When we get about halfway through the week, um, I'm going to take an interlude for some videos and things, just so we're not sort of chugging away like a steam train at the same miles per hour. Okay, so this is a report actually. I don't know whether this is a mistake. It's actually, I'll just show you the site. It's Metastellar, Speculative Fiction and Beyond uh, site. Metastellar.com, so Metastellar. Now, Metastellar is owned and operated by Maria Koroloff of Hypergrid Business. It's sort of like a companion site to Hypergrid Business, and I'm just not quite sure whether it's been published on the wrong site by mistake because Alex Korolev is normally, yeah, Hypergrid Business and Metastellar. So maybe Maybe he posted a VR thing to Metastellar by mistake, think it was science fiction. Well, I suppose it always really. This is typical Maria too. Global VR revenue overview. This isn't hers, but she likes things like this. Um, Consumer spending, etc. Um, and oh yeah, there she is. So she actually did the editing on. There's not much of the article really, but anyway, it's basically revenue is expected to reach 12.2 billion US dollars by 2024. Now that's 4 years away, or well, actually it's only three if you think of as one, two, by yeah, that's 3 years away actually if you think of it in 21, 22, 23, and then you come to yes, 3 years. That's the way it works. Anyway, I'm nitpicking. I'm nitpicking. Why am I nitpicking? I don't know. All right, let's move on from that. Designnews.com for the next one. Right, the future of virtuality in product design. VR is beginning to prove itself as a useful, innovative, and collaborative design tool. Pretty picture, stock picture, I imagine. I like pictures like that. There's, anyway. um, Pandemic has been a surprising innovating force in all areas of design engineering, from advanced manufacturing to product design. And well, this is an interview with somebody at Design News explaining how virtual reality has come of age as a design tool during 2020. And it rounds up all sorts of design um, related sort of things, from hardware to software and everything else. And rounds up, of course, with the future awaits. Yes, indeed, it does, doesn't it? We knew about that. Right. Okay. Moving down. Another post at Metastellarcom. I think they got. I think they got their buttons confused. Everything that's meant to be hypergroup business seems to be popping up at Metastellar. Okay, Metastellar, just like a minute ago. This is about a new app that turns your room into a 3D workspace. And it is an app. It's released by Spatial. I think we may have mentioned it before, but the app actually is for iOS or Android. It was just last week. And instead of a bulky headset, it now works with just a phone or a tablet, though users can still use a headset if they want. Basically, the idea here is that it generates, based on real world things it photographs in your room, it generates a 360 virtual reality environment, which you look through, like AR. So it's a bit of AR and a bit of VR together, really. You hold your phone without a headset necessarily, up to. Presumably it works on pads too, which will give you a bigger screen. You hold your phone up, and look at it, and it sees through. With If it was pure augmented reality, it would just see things that were superimposed on your own environment. But apparently, this actually turns literally the whole environment, rather than just um, superimposing. It actually turns that whole environment into something virtual anyway. Um, let's see, HoloLens 2. Okay, I don't know. I don't think I got this anywhere else.
Today, I get to show you something very special, something we've been looking forward to for many years. When we set out to build HoloLens 2, we wanted to create.
Okay, that's oof, out of breath. That's less about this product than HoloLens, and using HoloLens is obviously one way you can see it. So we'll pass on the rest of that for now. Okay, now, being a holiday season, if nothing else, you might, or relatives of yours, may have actually experienced a gift in the form of a helmet. Yes, indeed. One of them helmets. And oh, I tweeted. Oh wait, no, no, sorry, it won't be. It won't come through this way. Right. What makes a great virtuality experience? Well, seven top things to consider. Now, there've been a few of these things during the week. This one is really considering things in general, but obviously they've had kind of things to consider buying or using a VR headset. For example, keeping it clean and making sure you've adjusted the sight controls properly and things like that. Um, but this is more about things to consider when creating VR content. Content's still important. Consider the length of your course. Obviously, the person who wrote this is some kind of educator. You don't use the word course unless you are. I don't think you do anyway. Think about how things are reported. Consider your footage material. Teach new skills, and the instructions are vital. And don't go overboard. So it's all a bit of general advice. Now at the bottom here, well, I haven't scrolled down there, but eNet Reality trademark gives you everything you need to create and deliver your own VR learning assessment experiences for your workforce. Try a 14-day free trial. Um, Clearly, this post was it's a useful post, but clearly it's put up to draw your attention to that product and that course. So, moving on. All right. Now, this is a site called businessinsider.com.
Mm-hmm.
businessinsider.com. And titled Virtuality is offering timely perspectives on race, diversity, and culture. Here's how. And that's quite a nice picture, actually. It doesn't look. It looks like a comic book frame rather than
Mm-hmm.
anything to do with
Yeah.
virtuality. But anyway, it's an image from Blood Speaks, May of the Birth of a Superhero. Oh, so maybe. Oh, why not? Um, okay. It tells you about creating experience. This isn't total VR. I mean, some of them are literally 3D movies and things like that. One takes you back to the civil rights movement of the 60s, for example. Um, and visit Business Insider for more stories. Oh, great. Talks about augmented reality. Um, Demand is going to boom. And people are using technology to encourage empathy with marginalized groups. Simulation show people what it's like to be homeless, pregnant, in a wheelchair, autistic, or of a different race. And quote there from an associate professor in the Department of Philosophy at Santa Clara University. Okay. Uh, over. No, no, that's not it. I haven't got this to view. I'm just reading that thing. It's irrelevant, really. There was some. I forget the manufacturer. They make kind of tablets and stuff like that. And a few months ago, they very noisily criticised and condemned Apple for not supplying a charging unit with the new iPhone. They've now released their own product, and they're getting a lot of flack because they too have not released a charging
Oh,
unit.
interesting.
They just these people are beginning to assume that you already have a charging unit for whatever they're going to sell you now, from something else. It's not strictly true. I mean, the charging for my old iPod and my more recent iPod or iPads is a completely different connection. The charger for most of my once you plug into USB or Android and things, they're different too. It's almost like you need to buy a multi-purpose adapter kit, like we used to have to do with all the different USB sizes. But
Could
it seems stingy to me,
could
especially
it
for Apple.
well could it be something that the European Union has specified? Because I know that the
Oh
EU has
yeah,
had
I
some
think
other issues about having standardized plugs and things like that.
yes. I think the EU has a thing about standardized plugs for all mobile phones.
Yeah.
Whether Apple subscribes to that, I'm not quite sure. The one that has a bee in its bonnet with Apple is Germany. Germany really seems to dislike Apple.
Hmm. Okay.
They and Facebook, of course, too. Not
Hmm. Hmm.
they don't like the idea of any monopolies or big corporations that are too big for their boots. You know, that is seems to be a German thing, much more so than other countries. But the EU doesn't like the big corps either, and neither apparently does America. I'm sure Bush is quite happy with that. Sorry, not Bush, the one that's going,
The
the
other
one
one.
that's going.
Right.
Yeah, that one we better rather forget. That's nearly out. Um, you know, but I imagine the incoming. Yeah, so it's quite happy that they break up or start controlling some of these big corporations because they just really have, you need takeovers and stuff to progress and accelerate technological change, but there's a limit. You know, a lot is gained with competition, not sort of absorbing everything. Sort of. It's like, oh, I've got an idea. In 10 years' time, I will have an idea for a startup. I'll find some venture capital. And then 1 week later, I will manufacture the product, and 2 weeks later, I will launch the product or the service. And in the third week, a megacore will then buy me out, and I'll be rich for life. You know, I won't ever have a chance of making a go of it independently. It just feels like that's the way it will be. Anyway, yeah, as I said, this particular site, I'm a man, civil rights era. Um, Racism. They've got quite a lot of. I'm obviously not going to click and play these, although I'm very tempted to, because most of these I've come. Some of the embedded videos here have been around for quite a while, but they brought 3 or 4 of them there together. Um, and that's nice. That's nice anyway. So businessinsider.com. businessinsider.com. Let me do a bit of scrolling here, and I'm about to click on something that requires a noise, a different noise.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's vroom. VRROOM dot buzz. PUZZ or double Z, however you want it. Anyway, Holotron have presented a lower body VR exoskeleton. Yeah, lower body, lower body. Now, this will be quite interesting. Presumably, you won't be there'll be no point in buying this lower body exoskeleton if you want to control your movements in the legless worlds, would there?
Ah, right.
No, definitely don't want this if you're in the legless world. And there's an awful lot of legless worlds around, I have you know. Anyway, quickly as our brains accept virtuality once our vision and hearing are hijacked, there are plenty of people trying to extend the illusion to our other senses, moving forward to a future of physical immersion that replicates experience across all of our senses. Phew, that was a long one. Right, but it ain't an easy problem to solve. You bet, you reckon? We interact with the world interacts with us, so truly feel like we're physically inhabiting a virtual world, also can accurately control a robotic person somewhere else on the planet. The virtual world needs to be able to exert forces on the body even as we operate against it. In other words, when you punch a wall, your hand has to stop. And if it doesn't stop, it's going to be mightily bruised.
Hmm.
Right, when you push against something, you need field resistance, and the VR exosuit needs to perfectly measure how much force you're exerting while exerting an appropriate force in reverse at any angle on any part of the body. It's a hardware nightmare. Leaving aside the $1 billion holy grail of virtual sex you can actually feel, let's take a look at how one German company is trying to replicate the simple physical experience of walking with the force feedback lower body extension. Right, I better stop. If I'm going to read the whole thing out, I might as well not have it. But anyway, you'll see here a few pictures of the skeleton and a replica, a virtual rendition. That's him there, and that's what it looks like in virtual space. And there he is again. And yeah, all sorts of explanatory information here about the Holotron, as it's called. The 3-axis gimbal would let future users spin, flip, and swim in all directions. And it's um, It's tempting to say this won't be necessary and that VR and AR will enter the mainstream life in less intrusive ways. And they will, can they cite the Oculus Quest and Quest 2, which are part of the F Corporation's um, output. For example, prove how effectively you can be immersed in the virtual world even with a small, lightweight, surprisingly cheap headset. Imagine how good portable VR will be in 10 or 20 years, etc., etc. So that, as I said, was at vroom, VRROOM dot BU Z. It's almost as fun reading out the URL as it is making the sound effect for
Yeah,
this
yeah.
site, you know. Anyway, moving on to another site. They have no sound effect here, but it's equally well known. It's called Wired, Wired, and this particular one is wired.co.uk. How immersive audio will transform virtual experiences, and this is talking about Sony's. I mean, there are lots of examples, including iFidelity at the moment, but this is talking about Sony's 360 reality audio, which turns music into a 3D world, and all you need to experience is a pair of ordinary headphones. And a musician here has been using it to create new forms of art. British rapper, indeed. Okay, not really any pictures there. It's just the information really. But if you're particularly interested in sound in virtual spaces or virtual worlds, interesting little article for you there. You will find it at wired.co.uk. Although I suspect it's in the wired.com edition too. Right, now talking of exotic arty things, this post is actually in the Guardian, would you believe? And it asks the question: can a trippy VR film bring classical music to a new generation? And well, we'll see, won't we? Um, okay, this is actually a VR film. Um, it's split into two 12-minute sections. And oh, it's called Symphony, by the way. It's classical music, exactly. It's taken 4 years and the efforts of 250 people, not least those of Venezuelan conductor and violinist Gustavo Dudamel. Yes, indeed. Right. It's in two parts, and I think the first part is shown on a giant screen, and it follows three musicians in Spain, US, and Colombia as they practice instruments and move through landscapes and soundscapes that range from the Mediterranean coast to the streets of New York and a coffee farm on a tropical paradise. But for the second part, visitors are then invited into a trailer, which I think is in the back of this photograph, where they're given a virtual reality headset and headphones and urged to, I love the fifth, take leave of their senses. That's one way of putting it. Take leave of your normal senses, I
Right,
suppose, is
right.
what they really mean. Take leave of... Yes, I recommend you take leave of your senses. That is the future. Unfortunate turn of phrase there. Right, anyway, and lights come up to reveal the orchestra on stage in Barcelona, and you're suddenly part of it. Before you stand a effervescent conductor twitching and pointing his way through the first movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. From that point on, the film peels itself further away from reality, immersing visitors in a psychedelic virtual world of intricate orchids, distant stars, and roiling galaxies. Next stop is Luthor's workshop, where the viewer becomes trapped inside a violin and then flies through the constituent parts of a trumpet. I think you get the idea, and I can understand why they call it trippy.
Hmm.
What seems to me rather remarkable is that all this seems to take place in a relatively short period of time. I don't know what the combination time is, but it's. I think it tells you. Didn't it? Yeah, it's in two 12-minute sections, right? So you've got 12 minutes, on watching the screen, giant screen, and 12 minutes in the immersion in the trailer, as it were. Um, what he seems to be doing in the space of 24 minutes is pretty formidable. I would think it's the sort of thing I imagine people want. to be in all day. Anyway, it's called Symphony: A Journey to the Heart of Classical Music, and it's on. It's a real world event, so go figure. 22nd of December to the 9th of January in Madrid, Spain. Unless you're in Europe, well, actually, the trouble is in lockdown, you might have difficulty getting there anyway.
Hmm.
But they seem to be set up to wear masks, if nothing else. So hopefully it is okay. Anyway, you can read this article at The Guardian, believe it or not, theguardian.com, theguardian.com. And let me just double check again. Yeah, this was on Tuesday, 22nd of December, this article. So when you get to The Guardian, you'll obviously see a newspaper front page. You'll probably have to hunt around a little bit for that article. But I'll go to my Twitter feed and twitter.com/malburns and then just click on the link about Trippy VR film. Right. Now, our friend Kent Bye, who I had the pleasure of interviewing a couple of weeks ago at the OCC, voicesofvr.com. So voicesofvr.com. And his show number 969. Retrospective of something called The Devouring. It's an epic horror adventure, new social gameplay in VR chat and prefabs community calls. So basically, it looks like he's looking back at this VR thing, which is a horror game called The Devouring. Um, and you play it inside VR chat, which of course is the social virtual world, so it's not a standalone product. It's been running since August the 14th, apparently, and it quickly went viral in VR chat because it was a unique shared experience, had a vast world to explore, an evocative soundtrack, enemies that catalyzed unique reactions, a recursive map, etc., etc., etc. And it caught the attention of the curator of Rain Dance, Maria Rakasanova, probably. And yeah, anyway, a whole load of bit about it there in summary. But of course, what they really want you to do is click on the link and listen to the Voices of VR podcast. You can subscribe to that everywhere from Spotify to iTunes or Apple Music or whatever it's called now. Um, you can get it anywhere, and it's an excellent series. Kent actually, on a normal week in the middle of the year, and there's often 3 or 4 different podcasts in the course of a week. He records the interview, then packages them and puts them up. So that's very good. Voicesofvr.com. And okay, here we have vrscout.com, vrscout.com, and a company called Innova has virtual patients offering cost-effective VR medical training. If you speak gobbledygook, that is by the look of it. Chinese, Japanese, it looks Chinese to me actually, but never. I'm not a good judge of that. Right, cost-effective VR healthcare in a post-coronavirus world. So presumably this is something they can't use till the disease is out of the way. Um, okay, medical stuff essentially. They've created a virtual patron and realised our dream to revolutionise clinical education. It's not just a product, but a complete game changer for clinical education. So it looks like the person being educated. I'm not on Chinese. I think I can't make out anything there. Right. I don't know whether he's the trainer and they're the trainee or vice versa. It would make more sense if that was the trainer and he was the trainee. But anyway, the whole idea is bringing all these sort of things together. And right. Cash showing city government. I don't know. Is that? It must be China. Yeah. Anyway, you'll find this poster. At least you won't have to worry about language to get to the website. It's vrscout.com. VRSCOUT.com. Very easy one, that. Now, oh dear, this is about the F core, the evil core, called the F core. Right. Oh, actually, this is quite interesting. This site, believe it or not, let's have it just to prove it. is actually a site called Newsweek. Now,
Hmm.
you don't get
Mm-hmm.
much bigger than this in terms of traditional media. And little video there, Mark Zuckerberg pushes back, whatever. Um, but let's have the easy view, shall we? Right. Um, we've all heard about this and we've all got it. But it's great to see the really big media covering it, and I really like this title, claiming that the Zuckerberg wants to turn us into data cattle. that's, that's a pretty stark vision, isn't it? To come up with a Newsweek headline, want to be data cattle? Meet Mark Zuckerberg. Right. Anyway, they have a thing about one person in particular, but they're having a field day with this, and the prospect of Facebook bringing its dominance to the next big thing in technology has many people worried, and they've been attracting criticism from a broad swathe of the public, wary of its penchant for tracking online behaviour and selling the same data to advertisers. And also, people are getting angry at that Facebook's reluctance to actually crack down on streams of misinformation that it distributes. Um, so, um, they're too big to fix their problems, unfortunately. So it's pretty essential they get broken up, in my opinion. Anyway, that is Newsweek.com having their take on an issue that's been in the headlines for a good few weeks now. Right, moving on here. And VAR Live combines wind, smell, and haptics for the next level location based VR. Now, this is out of the home VR. Until the pandemic all came along, Maria and I used to, look at all this thing, and it seemed like that apart from the gamers who really wanted this sort of stuff at home, it seemed like the actual headset wearing and the body the haptical VR, it seems to be moving much more towards out of home experience. A bit like um, back, I suppose, in the 70s, I think it's the 70s, but, you used to have arcade games in arcades. You put your coin in the machine and you got 5 minutes of shoot 'em up or something. And gradually over time, the offerings got better. But you never had, very few people would have had one of those machines at home. Um, they're operated by corporations who are making their money from the coins you put in them, for one thing. Um, that sort of moved on, but VR, due to the expense of real haptic, a bodysuit as well as a helmet and sensors and maybe even sensors in the environment itself, it's too expensive for somebody to rig out their small bedroom if they even have the money. So the out of home VR experience did seem to be looking good. Whether it will continue to be so, even if when we get the virus under control, I don't know. You've got to remember that COVID is never going to not be there. What we hope to do is vaccinate, get herd immunity, and be able to tackle instances of it like flu when it rears its ugly head. So we don't close down gaming arcades just because flu exists. And hopefully, with COVID, that is the idea ultimately in the long run. But I don't think it's going to take a long while to recover. However, we do it, and I can't see any serious out of home experiences like this really taking off, maximizing the commerce for them. For 2 or 3 years at least. I don't think it's a case of in 6 months we'll all be okay. So I wonder about that, and a lot of things have changed. There's a radio station here in the UK called Classic FM. They play classical music, and they spent £2 million on a new publicity campaign just before COVID, which involved outdoor billboards. And I forget all the instances, but they've lost an absolute fortune because COVID struck just as their campaign was about to go up. and it suddenly became inappropriate. And I don't know, they've lost a lot of money that they spent on the campaign that's gone nowhere. But and so when I see December 23rd, when I see posts like this, that, say, this is the next big thing and it's coming, whatever, I think realistically it ain't coming very quickly. It sure will probably be coming in the future, just as it always would have done. But I think, there's a lot of these things that involve us going out of our homes and socializing and playing with other people in public. I mean, it's beginning to look like there'll be a 3-year gap in time. The first year will be the one we've just finishing, and I reckon it'll be 2 years before we can really feel back to normal in terms of going out and doing fully herd immunity, vaccinated, and everything else. Because the infrastructure needs to recover too. It's not just we need herd immunity. That could take up to a year, and then there's rebuilding. But maybe when the rebuilding stage comes along, then some of these enterprises, that involve multiple people, will become the new big thing. Anyway, location-based VR entertainment. Um, this article is quite, it's quite a kind of roundup. Um, about what they've got. Immersive adventures can be found in 20 different locations across the USA, Canada, China, Taiwan, Japan, Hong Kong, the Philippines, Pakistan, Malaysia, and Thailand. Whether you can get to them is another matter entirely. Anyway, leaving at that, that is particularly, it is VR, of course, but it's more of the gaming ilk, but it's all experiences at the end of the day. So find that post at vrscout.com, and I'm moving into another one. I think I can hear a motorcycle in the distance somewhere. Ah, yes, I should have guessed. It's VRROOM.PUZZ. In other words, vroom. Buzz. Is immersive storytelling the new marketing frontier? Co-founder at Imagine Ovation. Not Imagine. Oh, that's right. Imagine Ovation. Overseeing the company's global expansion, etc. Storytelling has been an integral part of branding and marketing. Marketers across the world vouch for the power of good brand storytelling. And obviously, they think immersive storytelling, i.e., in virtual worlds or using headset um, technologies that look good in the headset, VR, um, 360 videos, etc. AR, VR, 360 videos, or mixed reality offer self-directed experiences to your audience. And they talk about National Geographic, building an emotional connection and boosting engagement, and take gamification to the next levels. Oh, and creating the virtual reality experience, etc., etc. So you'll find this at vroom.buzz, VRROOM.buzz, BUZZ, that is, of course. Um, and I was about to comment on something here. Oh, yeah, I forget who they are, but there was a documentary about one of Britain's big department stores, I guess, who are in big trouble as a result of COVID. Um, but like most of the big department stores in the UK here, they release sort of really epic adverts to go on TV at Christmas. So and so store's Christmas advert is legendary. Marks and Sparks, for example, do one, um, and wait, John Lewis. This is the one I'm thinking of. Do one. They're great name, from 2 centuries of retailing in the UK, and they're in trouble because they didn't jump to the internet age.
Hmm.
They didn't really they ignored it by and large. So when COVID came along, they didn't really even have an internet an online shop component. But what was interesting is the documentary was actually more focused on storytelling because this is one of those brands that every year at the this seasonal time they release an advert, and it's always, I think it's the John Lewis advert kind of thing, whatever people, or there might be a short brand name they have, and they were interviewing the people making this, and they're particularly saying it's an ongoing trend with adverts, but for them it's always been this way for the seasonal advert at least. And they say it's not actually about advertising anything specific anymore. It's simply a matter of, you know, brand presence. But what they actually do is they effectively sponsor a story, be it a cartoon or something seasonal. And the storytelling is the thing, you know. And if people like the story and they think, "Hey, that was a great advert," and then they just take note of, "Oh, it was John Lewis, of course," you know, or it was Marks and Spencer's, of course. They're not really interested in having the brand pumped to them or some gimmick, you know, about you know, look, uh, you know, our copywriter writes whiter than white or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm getting confused there. They, you know, they subdue the brand. They reckon that a good story gets remembered, and subsequently people remember the brand. And a few years ago, there was a very similar thing where I think it's been copied no end of times now, and I can't forget. I think it was Nescafe, the coffee people. They did like a mini soap opera that lasted 2 minutes, you know, and featured scenes where coffee was being drunk, and you know whose coffee it was, you know. But they didn't overly push it. It was product placement, and every week it would be the 2 minute ad would be a new installment of this kind of soap opera. So actually, you know, if you watched it sometime, you know, you saw it multiple times a week, but you know, after every week or so, there's suddenly a new one there. And, you know, eventually you had to think back to the whole, you know, the story advanced to the point where you couldn't actually remember how it started. You know, it was
Hmm.
basically a romance for people, you know, over this coffee thing, but it was delivered, you know. So, and it wasn't a comedy soap opera. It was, you know, delivered like a drama, a drama. Yeah, anyway, rabbit hole, of
Hmm.
course, but
Hmm.
it's the season for rabbit holing.
Diverging.
It
Yep.
better be anyway, yeah. So anyway, Vroom.buzz, of course, has this article on immersive storytelling as the new marketing frontier, and a second post at the same site. So I guess we'll have to rev up again, won't we? This is virtual reality training, the complete guide. Imagine you work at a retail store, Black Friday is coming up, and it's time for your quarterly training. Instead of the mundane PowerPoint your manager provided last quarter, she gives you a pair of fancy goggles to place over your eyes and a controller to hold in your hands. You're instantly transported into a virtual 3D world. This world looks identical to the actual world. Your store's the same, the people you work with, but it's actually a digital representation. In this virtual world, you experience the frenzy of a retail store on Black Friday, etc., etc. Although it's just a simulation, it feels real. It feels like a teenage boy truly is upset. It feels like that old woman did get tripped over by a combative family. How you're going to handle it? As I say, this is talking about training, so it's citing here staff being trained to work in a retail store. You know, how do you handle the little kid that trips the old lady up, you know, and she can't get up again, and all the drama that goes on in a retail store, other than actually saying the products on the shelves. But plus also it's about selling the products too. So think of it as a fully immersive interactive video game. Learners place a headset over their eyes, hold a controller in their hand, and they're immersed in a virtual 360-degree environment, perceiving realistic sights and sounds. The virtual experience is often indistinguishable from the physical world, etc., etc. So, pushing the virtuality stuff there. That's that article is of room.buzz, VRROOM dot BUZZ. And well, I'm going to pause on this next one. I think I don't. Oh, actually, I probably don't need to. I'm almost there. Right. Okay. Let me slip to the website here. This is the Journal of Virtual Worlds Research. It comes out every now and again, sort of fairly academic-y sort of journal, and Don't know what all this space is all about. Anyway, the latest issue came out during the week. It's just got a few editorial welcomes to the age of 3D, 3C, uh, rendering sounds, and then peer-reviewed papers on virtual goods, conversational analysis for music making in Minecraft, and the use of ambisonic audio to improve presence, etc., etc. So not the biggest of issues. What you find here is that this front page, basically, I don't know if it's any better when I turn us back to my normal view. Um, yes, actually, it's much easier to see there. Yeshi Sivan, the editor there, and this, I think they got a style sheet sort of blacking out parts of the site here, even in this view. Anyway, these articles usually you find when you go there, you can download the individual ones as a PDF, or you can download the whole journal as a combined PDF. And there's usually a little bit of summary with each on the website there. So this is quite an easy one. This Journal of Virtual Worlds, but all you actually need is JVWR. So if you remember Journal Virtual World Research, and just think of those four letters, and it's a .net. I should point that out. It is indeed a .net. Right. Okay. Where were we? I'm scrolling down my thing here. Um, okay. Right. Next post is at psypost.org, psypost.org. And this is all about experiencing the illusion of having opposite sex body in having an opposite sex body in virtual reality can shift aspects of gender identity. There were a lot of talks about this in Second Life, in fact, back in the early days. A lot of academics and researchers were actually taking part in what was a social virtual world, as like the real world in microcosm, and they were studying very interesting things like oh, the mind. Uh, no, I've forgotten. That doesn't help. But this actually is a good example because some men would role play as women, and some women would role play as men. And I think we all got to know a few of these people. There was nothing weird about them. They weren't sort of men that dressed up in women's clothes in real life. Um, they were really just trying to see the other side of not the argument, but the other side of life, on the theory that there's two sexes, so they want to see both sides of the coin. So they used the virtual world to experience that. Um, Likewise, there was a woman who was white but wanted to be a Negroid type avatar with all that encumbered, and wanted to see if the same racism existed in the virtual world too, and unfortunately, it did. Right, she had a real hard time. Um, so a lot of, a lot of that kind of thing. Um, it's like experiential that just as training firefighters in a virtual world allows them to fully train without any risk, so does this sort of role playing, gender swapping, and things like that allow you to do it and experience the dangers, even though there's no real physical risk to yourself. Probably there might be a psychological risk, to be honest, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still, they can be damaging in some ways. It's still like a safe place to do that, and I mean, one of the major female presences in the economic forums in Second Life for a long while. I forget their avatar's name. Um, they're a woman, obviously. Except they weren't. It turned out they were a major executive at IBM. And all this was a very big corporation who had their people. They didn't put. They didn't put any restrictions on the role play of the avatars in world. I mean, other corporations wanted you to dress in a suit and tie and look like you represented the corporations. IBM had a very loose inter. I guess they wanted to find out what people would do, including their own staff and serious people would do, with the world. So they, as long as you didn't put your real name on a female avatar, you get away with it. Anyway, that's all by the by, so to speak. But this article is looking at that, and it's a psychology site, psypost.org, and this was December 23rd, as you can see for that article. Right, this is a rather stating the obvious, but it was a relevant time here. A magazine called avinteractive.com, avinteractive.com. Um, a statement. Yes, indeed. There is no social distancing in VR. Well, I beg to differ. There can be, and I'm sure there is. But the point they're making here is there's no need for
Hmm.
social distancing in VR. In other words, when we are socially distanced in lockdown, VR is there for us to explore. We've mastered Zoom and Teams and hop in, but screen fatigue is real and we can't go on like this forever. There's got to be a better way. Enter the rise of the VR event. And she mentions is the Glastonbury Shangri-La move into the metaverse here in Sansar with the 4 million viewers from over 100 countries attending. Burning Man went metaversal with 8 universities, a virtual temple, and a globally distributed band burn, etc., etc. She says she's praising, the VR as a solution to the inadequacies of being locked down and being socially distanced. If you can get over that, you can have social contact, have fun, do stuff, and everything else in VR. So AV interactive, all one word, AV as in audio visual, then interactive, all together there. And yeah, that is that. I'm gonna move up my list right now just because we have a segue, this mentions the Glastonbury Festival Shangri-La in Sansar. Um, we also have another one, eventsansar.com. This comes from the Metaworld news feed, by the way. That's why I was scrolling up to a different department. Um, Lost Horizon, which is actually the same venue that put on the Shangri-La thing. Of their latest one is Cross Presents the Edge of Everything, and no, that's not right. Oh no, that was his album launch. Right, right. You have to buy tickets to this 10 USD unless you know somebody um, who is handing freebies out for you. Um, Lost Horizon is about the world's largest virtual music and arts venue created by the team behind Glastonbury's legendary Shangri-La in partnership with Sansar. Across December, the sprawling universe reopens for a program of digital events, etc., etc. And yeah, Crust, who I have to admit I don't know. I thought I knew the music industry, but I'm too old now, I guess. Is This is his first LP in 14 years, The Edge of Everything, and he's joined by his peers to deconstruct and recreate new audio frontiers whilst immersed in a visual aesthetic to match. This will be one for the heads. Right, it's odd. Anyway, you'll find this at events.sansar.com. So events, you will know, dot SANSAR, sansar.com. And yeah, you'll find other stuff there too. It's funny that it refers to the December season there, but this is actually meant to be a post. Um, Oh, I don't know why this has come up late. Okay, look, Tuesday, December the 22nd. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, as a segue, so to speak, why not? Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, let's do some stuff, right? For a while. Okay, that's where we left it, wasn't it? Yeah, assembled. Um, Yeah, that's what we've done. Okay, I'm going to take a little break here and look at some YouTube stuff. And I'm going to start by um, some of the, not, this is the Metaworld news feed, as well as some other videos I've got standing by. So we'll have a few of the more boring things again at the end. Um, Big news if you're into Alt Space VR. Which of course is the one owned by Microsoft, but it's actually been very successful these days. You can now get it on the Mac. If you go to, well, this is altvr.com, altvr.com, and it just tells you to follow the link and download it and how to use it, basically. So I should probably put that on my new Mac if it's, what do I call it, fit. It's been on Windows for a long while, of course, but and in headsets and all over. But you can now get it on your Macintosh. I guess on the Macintosh it will be a screen-based experience because I don't know whether you can plug in the headsets into a Mac yet. Anyway, altvr.com is where you want to get that piece of information and the links and the read here's, etc., etc. Um, right. Also on YouTube, this is actually. Come on, where are you? Oh. Okay, well, we'll have to do this. We'll have to delivering blockade indeed.
Mm.
Right, we'll have to do this. The right again. This is one. This is an hour and a half performance, which has been filmed, and it's sort of quite cute. This is actually also in Alt Space VR, and it's it's basically Peter Pan in Neverland and all that. Well, they've done a theatrical performance of it now. Clearly, the that's actually the audience. But basically, you can see what the avatars are like. Yeah, there we are. There's a good example. So we used to get a lot of this stuff in Second Life. There isn't much of it anymore. I don't know why. The people that went in there and did theatre groups and stuff like that seem to have vanished. Even in Open Sim, there's only a couple of them left. But this is, I think, the first like theatrical production I've seen somebody attempt to do in Alt Space VR. And clearly, the graphical limitations of the platform mean it is very, very sort of. They almost look like puppets rather than cartoons, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all symbolic. But obviously, the cast have learned their lines and they're doing a performance at Neverland. So great. Um, it's good news. I almost missed this actually, so I'm rather glad I found it. I only watched. I forget where we came in. It was about. Oh, it was there. That's as far as I've got so far. 30 minutes in, but I might be able to catch up with the rest later. So, anyway, the person that's posted this is somebody called Mark Gill, Mark space Gill, so Mark space Gill. That's the name of his YouTube channel, and you can obviously look him up and subscribe to him as well if you need to. Um, huh. Tonight I'm going to try and give you guys the best seats in the house. That's from the filming perspective, obviously. So yes, and it's nice. It's nice. It reminds me, as I say, of things that were done early on in Second Life, which also looks, you know, less than perfect at the before Second Life upped its graphical quality, so to speak. So anyway, that was that. Let's move on up. Old Space is on the Mac. I've done that. Crust at Sansar. Right. Also at Sansar again. Episode 34 of World Explorers.
Yeah.
Chocolate
Oh,
Factory, eh?
there's a
This is a Christmas.
like toy store right here. Here's
Sorry, I can't actually talk over it. Right, it's called World Explorers, and it's obviously their sort of Christmas special. It lasts for about an hour. It's quite easy to watch. It's filmed with a VR headset, as it were, but they're reasonably well in control of it. Not too much wobbling and seasickness involved. Um, the YouTube channel you want for this is Zero Cheese, Zero space cheese, as in
Hmm.
savoury food stuff. CHEESE. And yeah, they film the World Explorers every week, and Zero Cheese also films a few other things on his channel here. So he's a good person to subscribe to for all sorts of filming coming from here in Sansar. So, as I said, Zero Cheese, and yeah, this whole episode looks pretty wonderful,
toy store.
but it's an hour. Got the shop there. You got some outside. Right, obviously. It can't catch up with me, can it? Okay, so I hope I'm not losing my bandwidth, am I? No, I'm not.
Your
It must
sound's
just
coming
be
through clear, so.
yeah, it must just be lag on YouTube. YouTube not behaving that well these days.
There wouldn't be
Okay,
anybody at
so
home watching YouTube today, so.
okay, okay. Just before I do, this is Meet in VR. It's a platform METIN and then capital VR. That's their account at YouTube. And this is much more serious side of things, basically. Avatars, VR meetings, and the metaverse, and the future of work, and it's a VR interview. So this is the CEO of Meet in VR, the platform, and Timu Toki here is CEO of Wolf 3D. Now,
Oh, yeah.
Wolf 3D are great. Basically, you can give them a selfie or whatever, and they will make an avatar for you, and it works in Meeting 3D, Meeting VR. Sorry, it works there. It works in. I think it might work here in Southside. It certainly works in. I think
It
Foley.
works in hubs, I know.
Because it used to be. It used to be in Hyperdata. Yes, it works in Mozilla Hubs. They're very effective avatars. They look good, although they are actually very simple. They're not any complicated mesh with a million vertices or anything. So anyway, Christian Emmanuel talks to Timu Doki, and
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Meeting VR, and we are building enterprise collaboration solution in virtual reality. So basically, a platform which we're experiencing right now. So today we have with us, and it's my pleasure to have Timu, who is the founder and CEO of Wolf 3D. And
okay, well, it's basically 34 minutes.
marketing campaign
The
for
camera angle changes a
Holotron.
little bit, but
So you can
basically
pretty much
what you see in those few frames,
Chris, and I'm co-founder
basically
and
what you
CEO of
get.
Meeting VR, and we
So moving on. Right, another platform, Neos VR, which
social hangouts
is
events for TV
quite
or
popular.
games. I completely
This,
agree, Azo, and I
let's
think
see,
Neos is
right, this is a Christmas theme stream from Neos VR, and they're talking about the virtual desktop in Neos Dash. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like maybe it's referring to a dashboard of some sort. I've been seeing the LCR talked about quite a lot recently, so I really should go in there and check it out. I know I did once upon a time, and they have a Discord channel server rather that I'm a member of, but I haven't been in there recently. But this is actually 2 hours, by the way, so you need a bit of time to put aside to actually look at this. Now, the site this comes from is an avatar called Fruxius. Again, this is YouTube. FROOXIUS is the name of the poster as it were, there. I'm pretty sure that Meet in VR have a channel of their own, but this is not it. I've got a little notice up there. Ah, that is telling me that Somni in Space VR has actually gone live, but bit late, bit late. Right. Yeah, that is kind of interesting, as you can see.
Be really able to do that.
Neos in Neos. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna build something with the logic store today.
Okay, well, the audio is pretty good on this, and you do get a feeling, for the platform. Windows 98. Come on. Enough distance there. Anyway, moving on. Right now, or the augmented reality conference that was started by Tish Seuss, amongst others. Um, it happens every year in the states, but it also has various local ones too. And there was one recently in Helsinki, which is it Finland or I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember where
Yeah,
Helsinki
Finland.
is. It's like Norway. Yeah, it is Finland. Very, very good. And they had a night in Helsinki where they actually had a broadcast. They're actually talking about fashion in virtual worlds or in VR. Um,
Thank you.
it's
Welcome
on
also from my side.
it's on their main channel, which is or dash Augmented World Expo, which is a channel which actually has the Augmented World Expo videos on it, whether they're from Helsinki, America, or and which year, etc. As you can see, there are links to various other things there, but or AWE space dash and then augmented space world space expo is the site you want there. And yes, this was talking all about
I'm
fashion and stuff.
Christian from Eventually XR, and I would very much encourage you to send.
Then a few cases in Finland that have been done that way.
Oh, they're talking about Finland.
It is a
Oh,
hand
well,
vacuum
yeah.
for
Yeah,
Correct.
they've combined Zoom with the virtual world, mostly Zoom and things, but there's quite a lot of participants there, so it's all rather interesting. It does last for 1 hour 43 minutes, which is why I'm just rushing through trying to find you any odd highlights, but it's not something easily done, unfortunately. Um, Especially when YouTube is not buffering very quick. With my bandwidth, it should play the whole thing in 1 second, but never mind. Anyway, let's see.
Application, maybe even for free, as a promo tool of high quality in which the user can immerse himself in a 3D world and the atmosphere of the fashion brand, see collection on the live models.
Right. Well, you get the idea of what that's all about. It's great actually. It's a good talk because visually it's quite exciting, and then lots of different people in the conversation there. So yeah, you've got 1 hour 43 minutes of that if you want it. Um, this is a bit of a weird one actually. This is Perkins AR VR survey results, and they've made a 58-minute video talking about their survey results. Um, now, this came to my mind. I'm not sure who these Perkins people are, to be honest, but it's posted by the XR Association, which is how I came to, um, get it basically. And it's not new. 4th of August 2020 was when it's posted, but it is actually still quite interesting. Talking about dynamic growth of the industry and stuff like that. It lasts for an hour, and what they're talking. Uh, focused on the results of a survey they did. So, one for the bookmarks, certainly, if that's your kind of thing. Another virtual world that I never think of as a virtual world, pardon me.
Hi everyone. As the eventful year 2020 draws to an end, I wanted to take the opportunity to look back at the release of the Dual beta and give you a preview of what to expect from us in 2021. First,
First, yes. Right, so there you have the CEO of Dual Universe. Um, a look ahead. And it's not particularly long. There's only about 3 minutes of this. In fact, might sort of, I might play it for you. Dual Universe, I've always thought of as a bit of a game, but it's very interesting that our friend Will Burns, who's been on many of our shows, though not recently, he has this idea of the metadata, meta worlds, metaverse, meta galaxy, blah blah blah, um, and how things would fit into that sort of type of metaverse structure. But he's often tweeted about dual universe, and as something that well, he seems to like, even though I would think of it as a game. It's a continuous single-sharded multiplayer game. Takes place in a multi-planetary sci-fi world. This might be the reason he likes it actually, but it features player-driven economy, politics, trade, and warfare. Players can freely modify the world by creating structures, spaceships, even orbital stations, giving birth to empires and civilizations. So I like the fact it is user created. Um, I'm not quite sure if this is one of the worlds that uses blockchain, like digital currency. Um, anyway, the YouTube site here is Dual Universe. That's the name of the platform, DUAL space universe. That's normal. And www dualuniverse.game for their website. And they've got forums here and various places. What was I going to say there? Yeah, dual universe. Um, yeah, it's not clear, but I know some of these, you have to have Ethereum currency and stuff like that. I'm not sure this is one. I'm actually going to tell it's only 3 minutes, so I'm actually going to tell you what he reckons he's got installed with Dual Universe.
I'd like to personally thank our backers and all the players who've joined us since the launch of the beta. You have helped us identify the areas where we needed to focus, and for that, we couldn't be more grateful. For the past 4 months, the team at Nova Quark has been tirelessly working on balancing the game, fixing bugs and exploit, and scaling our server technology. With the recent release of version 0.23, we've concluded a first wave of changes and fixes that have helped stabilize Dual Universe. So we acknowledge that there is still a lot of work ahead of us. As we are about to start a new year, I'd like to give you a glimpse of what's to come in 2021. This is by no means a full list of features and changes, but an overview of the key areas where you can expect major additions. We will also be adding improvements and changes from the list of suggestions that came out of the feature voting page that we launched a few weeks ago. Let me start by showing you some of the graphic improvements that should accompany our first major release in early 2021. This will include the replacement of existing environmental assets such as rocks, trees, and plants, as well as ground textures with brand new ones. Many more graphical improvements are in the works for later in the year. This first release will also introduce the all-important mission system that will help create a job market in the game, open up the possibilities for players to earn revenue, and create more emergent and interconnected gameplay. We will also be adding wallets for organizations. We are already at work on a major overhaul of the game's PvP for release fairly early in the year. These revisions signify a whole new approach for the way Discord gameplay works in Dual Universe. These changes will be accompanied by the introduction of an energy management system that should imply major changes to the way ships are being built. As well as asteroids, the players will be able to mine for resources and fight over. Later in the year, the introduction of territory warfare will make several aspects of the game more engaging and interesting. Other features to look forward to include mining units to allow for the automated collection of ore, an editor for voxel vertices, a new solar system with new planets, improved biomes and stargates, and a lot more. These are just a few of the exciting additions we will be introducing in 2021, starting with a major release in the first quarter of the year. Thank you all again for helping us improve the universe. We can't wait to show you how the game will evolve in the coming months.
Oh, very interesting. That is one I should try. Maybe you too would want to try it. I mean, not just because we're in lockdown, but because obviously for the next week or so we're in lockdown mode and holiday mode. Mind you, I said that last week. I said I was going to go into what's it, Fast Sky, and I said I was going to go
No
somewhere. I
Man's
never got
Sky,
there,
right?
but
Right.
there's just no Man's Sky. That was it. Yeah, there's so many of these things and so little time before I fall asleep, as they say. Right. Okay. So that's quite a good one. And as I say, that's want to watch that again. It's Dual Universe on YouTube. And if you go there, you can see they don't seem to have a Discord channel, which is a shame. But they've got forum, community portal, and they're on various things, including the F Corp. Um, whether that's wise, I don't know. I didn't know if F Corp allowed virtual worlds and avatars. Anyway, moving up. I'm doing quite well here. Right. Episode 4, the one with Grumpy Reindeer.
Hmm.
Okay, this is a podcast that's used video too. It's called Trip VR podcast. So it's all squashed into one word: TRIP, and then capital VR, and then capital PODCAST. You can see it written there, so don't need to worry too much about my spelling. And yeah, that's episode 4. They talk about Cyberpunk 2077 in VR. This was the one we mentioned last week with the uh, somewhat volatile genitals. Well, not volatile, but coming through clothes, shall we say? And anyway, VR Bug gets grumpy over recent Oculus episodic titles: Jurassic World Aftermath and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We relive the joy of playing through the old adventure classic Myst, remade from the ground up for virtual reality. So, yeah, pretty much gamer centric there. This was released on Xmas Eve, 24th of December. So it's the most recent one. If you're going to YouTube, look up Trip VR podcast, and yeah, it's quite a good one. You VR Bug is got his Father Christmas look on, and yeah, what was it? Oh yeah, it's got virtual content too, so it's not just Zoom participants like that. They've got graphical elements in there too, so quite a good watch. Which is 1 hour 15 minutes, so it's not a short watch. Right. So at the side of the screen here, where you can't see what I'm doing, for better or worse, I'm just going to scroll down right down to the bottom on my list now, where we will continue with just a few of the regular links that I hadn't quite got done there. And yeah, the next one I have up to show you is vrtimes.com. Sorry, VR Times, as you saw in the logo there, but the actual site is, pardon me, Virtual Reality Times, virtualrealitytimes.com. And so it's 3 words: Virtual Reality Times, but they're squashed together as one word, and then it's .com. Mixed reality startup NXRT raises 1.5 million US dollars to turn real vehicles into simulators. Now, oh dear, I feel a rabbit hole coming on,
Okay.
but I shall resist. They 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 the idea is to make your car or vehicle into a simulator. Now, it doesn't sound. I've seen something else which was talking about like building a vehicle which had virtual screens and stuff. So I don't think you'd be driving it at the same time. But for passengers, it was like a virtual reality holodeck compartment. So your passengers would, or maybe it was a self-driving car and you disappeared in the back and into this virtual reality section. This, however, seems to be much more rudimentary. The idea that you can wear, a headset in your car if you really want to. Um, if I want augmented reality in particular and mixed reality, I think the windscreen is the obvious place to put it rather than the headset. You're always looking where you're looking on the screen there. If you've got the headset on, you don't really know which way you're looking. You're relying on, gyroscopes and things to give you a stabilized view of what's ahead of you. Um, I don't think I'd trust it an inch, but I'm not a driver, so um, certainly won't work in one. Um, they accomplish, sorry, the mixed reality company accomplishes this through a sophisticated software solution known as RT Editor Suite that supports efficient and straightforward simulation of various driving scenarios. It leverages artificial intelligence to generate very interactive and realistic mixed reality simulations, thereby melding virtual reality with the real world environment. The technology can be deployed cheaply in building what would otherwise have been costly simulator cockpit replicas. It can also be used to transform actual built vehicles into simulators using proprietary vehicle mounted sensor components, etc. etc. So, if that's of interest, that post was on Christmas Day. Good job it wasn't on April the 1st. April the 1st is the one to watch, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, they obviously had nothing better to do on Christmas Eve than put that up. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know about that. I mean, it's all the way people have these bright ideas. We all know the way technology is going, and we don't know what will take off and won't. Maybe this will be the biggest hit in the universe. Although I've got a feeling probably not. You've got Tesla and companies making the electric cars and everything else now, who eventually are going to start thinking of equipping their vehicles with this sort of stuff. They're much more on the leading edge. Also, I don't want to denigrate this, but 1.5 million euros. Um, well, even think of it as dollars, yeah, American dollars. It's less than 1.5 pound. It's about just over £1 million, I think, if it's euros. It doesn't seem to be an awful lot of money to put into a project of this scale. I mean, that money, they've got to develop their sensors. They've got to, the blueprints for the way they implement it and everything else, and then model it up and everything else. And, you know, 1.5 million euros is going to just go down the toilet really quickly, in my opinion. But anyway, as I said, one shouldn't do too much rabbit holing at this time of year, should we? Right, moving on. Did I give you? Oh yeah, virtuality times. Long 3 words there. Okay, we're moving on here to tech. What the? Oh, maybe this didn't have a reading list page. Never mind. Okay, so I've got to. Um, oh, fine. Now it's come. Okay. Well, I predicted this earlier when we had what to do with your VR headset. This is did you get VR headset for Christmas? And this isn't about creating VR. This is the 15 things you should do first. Um, right. Basically, the label to find out which one you've been given. You've got Valve Index, Oculus Rift, PSVR, or Oculus Quest. If you've been given an Oculus Rift, it's because it's been given away for next to nothing. So it looks expensive, but the person that gave it you was being stingy. But on the other hand, they they were maybe not encouraging you to buy into the F Empire. Right. Um, they look at the best VR games. Right. Uh, Getting your headset up and running. So this is actually quite a good summary. This is at techradar.com, by the way. TECHRADAR. Right. One, make room. Um, Sure, you can sit down as I do with my. I can't remember what it's called now. I've never used it.
The
Oh,
Go.
Go. The Oculus
Yep.
Go, the Go, yeah. But it's tactile in a way that I keep thinking I ought to stand up, but since I get stand up, I fall over and damage myself. So my balance is not good in the real world, let alone in a headset. So also, if I did do that, I'd actually trip over something. If it wasn't a wire, it would be a banging into a piece of furniture that wasn't designed for falling onto or sitting on. So the number one thing here is to make room. Make sure you've got some floor space that you can move your body around while you're in the headset so you can feel like you're able to move forward, back, sideways, and everything. It won't go on forever. You can't go into a virtual world with a horizon 5 miles ahead of you and just keep running forward. You'll eventually bang into a wall in your real world. But the idea is that if you've got a standalone mobile headset, which Quest 2 is, the more room you have, the better. And yeah, there's a picture to show it. Moving down, ensure your accessories are secure. This is like the controllers and various things that come with the headsets. You need to hold them when you're playing games, and some come with straps to ensure they're tied securely to your wrist, but others don't. So um, you might want to arrange a secure fitting. If you're getting into the action and drop one, it won't break because you've got it strapped to your wrist, obviously. If you actually drop it, you could well break it. They tend to be made of plastic and they're not the most durable materials, the bit parts of these things. Don't rush that bit. Make sure the straps are attached and secure on your arms and you can move the controllers freely before you begin shooting, swiping, and hitting virtual objects, which I guess is what you do in a helmet, isn't it? Right. Three, take it slowly. It's easy to lose a lot of time when you're playing VR games. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it isn't good news for those who experience motion sickness and don't realize until they take their headset off and the whole room starts spinning around. So dip in and dip out. It's a bit like sea legs. The writer says, "I found my VR legs," so to speak, but you don't necessarily get them on the first dip. I love the uh, analogies here. Right, four, consider airflow and ventilations. Now, I think it's a bit of a trade-off. I've tried these things on. I don't like them much, but both Quest and something else I've got. I've just got the wrong kind of nose for a headset too. They'll rub on my nose and slip. If it's tightly fitted, it feels uncomfortable, and if it's loosely fitted, it slides down my nose. And when I'm looking out into the view in the headset, there's always a tiny V shape in the middle where my the light is leaking in because the headset never quite fits my nose tight enough. Um, and of course, if I was to find a way to really press it down, you know, I could end up closing my nostrils too much, which will affect my breathing. So there's lots of stuff here like airflow and ventilation to consider, um, in general. Also, uh, apart from the airflow, the ventilation is important because it can mist up your view. So you might be wearing a headset and you're sweating and not just nausea but sweat too. Having to cut your VR session short just to wipe lenses. Clean the lenses is no fun and gets a bit icky over time, as the commentator there says. Point five is to get comfortable, which I guess if you covered the first four, you might be slightly more on your way to number five. Number five, I guess, is level five for me. I'll never get there. I'm still on level one. And six, upgrade with the cover. Yes, whatever that be. Um, Not quite sure what they're talking about here. Is this a cover? Oh, right, a face cover for your headset. Right, comfier than the foam and cleaner too, and then you can clean it. Right, okay. So I thought that was a cover you keep it in, but when you're not using it. But no, it's one that goes with it. I suppose it's a bit like the mask where we wear in the real world to keep COVID at bay. Um, it actually is quite a real thing. I mean, the one thing they don't mention here, which is very crucial, is you don't share your headset with anybody. Certainly not in this day and age. Droplets of COVID or anything else, just germs fully, are going to get into the parts of this thing. And however much you sterilize and clean it, it's not a good idea to give it to somebody else to try on. You need to have your own headset and use your own headset. Don't share it with anybody in the same way you wouldn't share your face mask with anybody. In the old days, you probably could get away with it. You weren't going to catch AIDS from a headset, but you will catch COVID from one. Right. Seven, create an escape hatch. Um, Okay, that's a bit vague. One reason I don't like headsets is that I also like to have a sort of link with reality. So, if I can't hear the sounds and the images and the smells of the real world, or just sound and images really, I get a bit paranoid. There's a YouTube thing from a few years ago somewhere where a guy puts his headset on, some burglars come in through the window, they strip his flat completely, and when he takes his set off, the headset's his hand is the only thing he's got left apart from his clothes and the seat, because he's been immersed and hasn't heard the activity. And obviously he hasn't seen the activity either because it's in the virtual world. So um, I tend to, I like having those cues, like especially say an audio cue. So this article makes a point of somebody you might live with, wanting attention and not getting attention. I suppose they could just hit you or something to get your attention, and also the panic room thing. I mean, if you get into a problem in the virtual world, it's very easy to panic. Even in Second Life and Open Sim and places like that, there are some people who would get into situations and they would actually get scared, because the realism was really quite compelling, especially emotionally. And all you have to do is quit or teleport away. But when you're affected by that kind of thing, your mind's not thinking that way. Your mind is thinking about the problem and how are you going to cope with it. Not, it's hard to say. If you feel victimized or the subject of something, you're worried about that more than you've almost temporarily forgotten that you can quit or teleport away, if you see what I mean. Um, and in VR, probably even worse. So obviously, because somebody can tap your shoulder and get you out of it, but that's somebody who might be around that wants to get your attention. But if for some reason somebody's in your environment who's actually looking at you and thinking, "Ho ho ho, I can do what I want. You can't see me or hear me," that's a different matter. You would. So I was like that little bit of filter. I've got these Beats. They're like iPods Pro, but they're Beats, which is made by Apple, and they are supposed to have kind of noise reduction. And I can, when I'm listening in them, I can only faintly hear the loudest of noises. But the good thing is, when it gets quiet or between a track, it seems to adjust the volume, so I get to hear the outside world during silent bits, if you see what I mean. Um, so that helps. But I just think if you're going to be in one of these headsets, think of all that stuff. That you've got an escape route. You know, you only have to take the headset off. We know, but it's not always that simple when you're so immersed, so engaged that you just don't think of the obvious. And of course, it's the set to you may be something very just a piece of furniture. It's got a sharp if imagine a glass table that's got a sharp edge, and you walk into it and stab yourself like a knife, be careful when you're in these things, really. And yeah, at point eight, choose demo games to ease you in. In other words, try out a whole load of demos rather than buying anything to um, see how you feel inside there. Number nine, play fun and cooperative games. Unless you go for solitary experiences, then being with other people in there is um, a good thing. Um, you don't feel isolated, and if something does go wrong, you've maybe got somebody to lean on, so to speak. Uh, number 10, fly to a galaxy far, far away. Well, that sounds like an advertisement to me. Oh, Beat Saber. Okay, it's not just Star Wars, but almost. Right, 11, get your sweat on, um, which is basically full body workouts and stuff. It could be in a game where you're running or something. Again, you need the space, and you can't run in a straight line towards the wall forever. Um, But obviously, it's a good way of keeping fit if you can find things that you can feel in the helmet that guide you through doing things with your body, and especially sort of kinetics, I think they're called, and things where you don't really move much more than you don't move on the spot very much. Um, right, so replacing the gym. And embark on a space adventure. Now, we mentioned this earlier. This is where I didn't get to last week. No Man's Sky. You can enjoy it now in headsets, etc., etc. Jump into a comic book. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, right. But actually, these are games that are just based on comics. They're not really, apart from being based on comics, they're not really different from any other game. Pump up the action. There's more to VR than shooting games. Well, thank goodness for that. I get shot down in the first frame. Uh, Okay, they recommend a few little things there. This is quite. This is much longer to scroll down than it was when I loaded it, but never mind. And feed your wanderlust. That's all about travelling and stuff to various places. So basically, um, if you've been given one of these for the holiday season, those are the first things you should think about, and probably the first things to remind yourself to think about anyway. I doubt if anybody watching this program is new um, to this, although they might be new to the headset. And you might want to grab this link and give it to people you know who are new to the world. So this is at techradar.com, and the direct link, whatever it is, will be on my Twitter feed, the Mal Burns Twitter feed, in fact. So twitter.com/Mal Burns. And yeah, moving on. This is a post at theartnewspaper.com. Now, I normally find myself restricted here, unless no, I'm not sure I haven't subscribed to them. But the paywall doesn't seem to be working this week. So, yeah, Lost Art, will virtual exhibitions replace in-person museum going? This was yesterday, 26th of, yeah, yesterday. Lasting change, the coronavirus pandemic might be how shows are viewed. And remember, this is the art people and galleries coming here. A virtual tour of the tomb of Pharaoh Ramesses. There was a lovely thing like this in the original High Fidelity that Phil Rosedale did, but this one's not it. Long corridor to get down there. um, Let me see. Van Eyck exhibition as a 360 tour with 120 artworks. Um, Optical Revolution, Virtual Impression. Um, Apparently, all these fake pictures featuring Mona Lisa have whetted the appetite for people to see the painting in person. But they can't. We've got COVID. Okay. Missing Masterpieces features 12 lost paintings, Van Gogh, Monet. Things we could never see in person, even if we wish to. Um, may be stolen, mislaid, possibly buried with their owner, or even destroyed. So the exhibition is free online, and it can be seen also by anybody with a frame TV from Samsung, whatever that is. Um, billion pixel viewing. There's a billion pixels in that picture there. Um, there've been some of the lovely pictures I've been seeing. I'm not a big fan of the X-Day anyway, let alone the religious side of it. But I mean, there've been an awful lot of very funny pictures. They've taken iconic artworks, many of which with religious connotations, and completely faked them and posted them on Instagram or Twitter or something. Yeah, so some really odd stuff going on there. Yeah, okay. So that is an article at the artnewspaper.com, the TheArtnewspaper, written as all one word.com. Right, now back to I think something is about to howl. Ooh, spooky. Spooky. It's the ghost howls, indeed. The crow's nest. Anna is the future of hospitality. Howls the ghost at scarredghost.com, of course. SKARREDGHOST.com. And yeah, this is Crow's, it's basically a little interview basically with Crow's Nest VR. It's a virtual concierge assistant. And he thought it was a very interesting product. Started in Shanghai. When COVID hit, they decided to go to Thailand to avoid lockdown. Um, and he noticed Chinese tourists arriving at the hotel, but many of them had problems with the language since they couldn't speak English very well. So he came up with the idea of creating virtual assistants that overcame the language barrier. So you go into your room and you look through your smartphone and you have a virtual assistant who will communicate with you in your own language to tell you what to do in the foreign language. Seems to be the idea. And I don't know how long this is, but I'm gonna sort of let's just have a quickie go. Oops.
Meet Anna, a virtual concierge that interacts with the real environment. Anna is the next step in the hospitality industry and can help you in multiple ways. Anna can save you money by reducing your need for specialized and highly trained staff. She has all the functionality of your current systems in one easy-to-use interface. Anna gives your guests a consistently high standard of customer service throughout their stay. She never takes a day off and is never sick. Anna can leverage several different revenue avenues. She can naturally push services and products, but also promotions, events, and facilities. Anna is also a platform where you can promote other products that are usually more difficult to sell. Anna, your virtual concierge. Book your demo today at crowsnestxr.com.
Okay, well, I'm just sort of reading a little bit underneath here about it. I think I think basically you find a QR code in a hotel and in your room, and you scan the QR code, which launches Anna, and she's based on a web page. Where you see the 3D avatar of Anna and a menu with some things you can actually ask her, etc. The manufacturer says people don't want to install apps, and we didn't want to create friction, so we thought a web approach was best. And to make a similar experience for all available on the web, Crow's Nest has also used the powerful XR engine Amazon Sumerian, which provides out-of-the-box intelligent avatars, support for AR and VR, and communication APIs, the ones used by Alexa, for example. And Amazon China is a partner of the project and really believes in it. Yes, very good. Really believe in it, they do. Anyway, lots more about that and about Anna um, uh, down there. And I'm going to just butt in there, as it were, because I didn't have a link for this. I'm not quite sure why. Um, but there was another post in the week. Actually, it's probably one I just didn't load because I thought it was, I think it was just a small, minor post. But apparently, it was imagine you've got a bottle like a pharmacist will give you with pills in it. And you twist it a bit and it doesn't open until you really force it down. It's sort of childproof and stuff. And there's a little thing on the top that you unscrew. There's when you get sometimes you get something that's vacuum packed and you have to press down on the lid to break the vacuum. Well, these medicine bottles, as it were, have a press down thing on the lid. But it doesn't. It's not just to unlock the lid so you can unscrew it. It allows you to then put a phone up against it and activate an avatar just like this, who will take you through the directions that you would normally get in the box with the medicine. So it will tell you how many of a pill you're meant to take a day. It will tell you what it's doing to you and why you've been prescribed it and stuff like that. So it's like a medical advisor. And the great thing is it's not in 5-point type in a little leaflet inside the packet. It's actually an avatar giving you the instructions and telling you all that stuff. And obviously, it's like a pre-recorded video, but you see it as an augmented reality sort of woman standing on the top of the screw top of the medicine. And I think that one was a good one. You can imagine how useful that would be for some people who.
All right.
I can't. I have to search the whole bloody flat for the right pair of glasses to even stand a chance of reading 6-point type. Yet they all do it. They all do it. I mean, fortunately, in the day of the internet now, you can often download a proper size PDF of the instructions, but they still print these things in 6-point type and then fold them and fold them and fold them and stick them in. Oh god. Anyway, so that's a good one too, and that obviously, it's a similar sort of thing to what this concierge is actually doing, but delivering the information in an easy way. Anyway, moving on. This is a site called freethink.com, but I think it's exactly the same. Yeah, this is exactly the same as the article we saw somewhere else. But if you want this, it's FREETHINK. But I think it's all based on a press release. It looks very, very much like um, the one we watched earlier. Actually, this may be different. No narration. There we are. All we saw were the photographs on the previous one, so there's a bit more here. Okay, well, just remember that that will do you no good whatsoever if you're a resident of a legless world. But otherwise, could be fun. It's not actually around yet, by the way. Um, uh, the Holotron, as it's called, is not yet completed. So that has been that's a kind of taste. I don't know whether it's a Kickstarter or Patreon or anything like that or whatever. It's not very clear about that. Um, anyway. Uh, Marcel Rees was the device's inventor. He's a physicist. Yeah, not a promising future is basically what we're down to there, I think. Okay, so my final link includes a distant motorcycle noise or something or other, some very strange sound. Indeed, we're back at Vroom Buzz.
Roombas.
In other words, V double Vroom Buzz. In other words, V double R double O M dot B U Z Z. Yes, indeed. Okay, fairly obvious. We know all this, but always good to read about it and also different technologies behind it. VR games open new doors for people with disabilities. Um, this is focused more on the experience, um, developing experiences for people without disabilities that allow them to complete mundane chores from the perspective of a person with a disability. So VR offers a lot here. You know, you see people in wheelchairs who are do have disabilities being empowered by wearing, you know, a kind of headset, or you get somebody who's not disabled, but by putting a headset on, they view something, they're immersed in something where they're meant to experience the feeling of those that are. So you've got two sides of the same coin, but you've also got all sorts of strange points in between. You know, whether it's training therapists and things to providing experiences for those who would never stand a chance of having them otherwise. So, yep, all about that. Another nice long article to another nice long article on that subject, basically. So that one again is at vrrrom dot buzz, vroom.buzz. And with that, I'm just shaking my way up to the top of the list to check there's nothing I missed, but I'm pretty sure there isn't. Or just the videos we had an interlude with. Yes, I'm all done. I'm all done.
Oh.
And of course, we've still been on for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Holiday or no. But James, right, time for your thoughts, if any.
Uh, it's just nothing really new, other than um, people remarking at, just how, wow, this is so realistic. It's so realistic, like it's never been before. And, so
Yeah.
many of these things are still, your perception and your experience of a device or even going back to books. I mean, when stories were first written down, so you didn't need a storyteller. I can imagine the first people reading saying, "Wow, this is just like I'm there with a storyteller." So we
Yeah.
just we progress from one level of simulating reality to another after time and time. And I just suspect in the future, wow, this new technology is just like being there.
Yeah. It's the old one dip and you're hooked kind of thing.
Sure.
Well, no, in a way, I should have. I don't know. It's just me, I guess. I should. The one dip and be hooked thing should have been me with VR headsets, but it just never happened.
No,
Never
no,
panned out.
no.
So the way I put the in sometime in the week, I put the. I think it was Old Space VR, one of them. I thought I'll try out. I'll put that Go headset on again. Not that it's state of the art anymore, but it's you know it's of the ilk, just to see if I feel any different about it. And if anything, I felt worse in that than I did when I got it. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, something will come along. Some lightweight glasses with, with some people adapting the immersion, I guess. So, did you do anything? Have you played any No Man's Sky and all these wonderful
Oh, I
games
play
over the holiday at all?
way too
You
much No
play way
Man's
too
Sky.
much.
Yeah, I love it.
Uh,
Yep.
I
It's
really
just
should.
beautiful.
I met.
Just beautiful game. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember saying last week I'll try and get. I'll have time on my hands. I thought, and I'll get in there. But I ended up watching. There are a lot of movies to watch. I
Mm-hmm.
still haven't watched Soul, which is an animated one. But I watched Wonder Woman, what
Oh,
1984, that last night.
1984. All right.
It's a bit of a disappointment. Watching the
Yeah.
superhero stuff. What was the? Can't remember that. I keep finding science fiction movies, but there was do you know, I can't remember what I watched. I must have watched about 6 movies in the last 2 days. I can't remember them. I can remember the last one I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there were a few. Yeah, there were a few. Um, oh, actually, you think that impressed me most? Yeah, I mean, it's not virtual building as such. It's theatre because it was on BBC Two here, and it was a ballet sort of really called the Red Shoes.
Hmm.
But it was a ballet within a ballet, and so that had elements of musical in it. It was also non-stop action in terms of storytelling. So people walking around and speaking, as well as the real sophisticated, ballet. And it took me a while to get into it because I couldn't. It was moving so fast, I couldn't quite figure out what the story was. It seemed to be that a would-be ballerina is seduced by some red shoes and are given to her by somebody, and she's forever sort of under the wing of that somebody, but the relationship goes sour, and he takes the shoes off her and whatever. But what fascinated me really about it was not the amount of action and the quality of the dancing, which is wonderful, but the set design, because it seemed every couple of minutes the set was moving. For example, they had a stage within the stage, and there's a construct of a stage on the stage. And while the whole scene, it wasn't between scenes, but while the scene was going on, this stage would go a bit dim, and then it would twirl around on hydraulics, and as the lights came up again, almost seamlessly. It was a totally different. You were seeing the stage from the performer's point of view, and then it would move round again, and you'd be seeing the stage from the audience's point of view. But all this was woven, obviously the real stage, the big stage was facing you. Just that didn't move. But there's all these twists and turns. They're just pulling out all the stops to do fancy things,
Hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
the thing was such high quality too. It bad, I remember putting it on and thought, oh, this looks quite nice. I'll just look at this and then find a movie to watch. And I couldn't put it down. It was about 2 hours of just so amazing dancing, and it wasn't. Oh, I know there was sort of those twirl around on tiptoe things that every ballet dancer has to do, but there were some one-offs that were actually incorporated into another dance, and the actress would suddenly move backwards unexpectedly, but quite deliberately, and have an expression on her face. She's not just a dancer; she's an actress. She has to be because a lot of the story is told in the expression on her face. If you haven't got words, she has to express what she's heard and her feelings about it. And oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's just one of those art forms that sometimes
Yeah.
comes up with a real surprise, is it?
Mm-hmm.
And this was it.
Yeah, very good.
Very good, very good. Yeah. So I remember that. I also remember Wonder Woman because that's what I watched last night. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm a sucker for all that.
All right.
Right.
Well,
Okay, we're still now, aren't we? We are still
yes, we
there.
are.
So I had better.
Yep.
I'm sharing my own scene, aren't I? What else? Did I have anything? Where has it gone? Before we say goodbye to everybody. No, no, we're back to the unloading of 2020, aren't
Yep.
we?
Yep.
Yep, that's it, I think. Um, oops. No, none of it. Ah, this is complete now. That was nice. A nice seasonal thing.
Oh,
We all know.
okay. Sure, sure.
We all know who that is. But
Right.
I mean, somebody went to the trouble, shall we say,
Yep.
of yeah. So we'll go out. We'll go out with that, I think. So, no more thoughts on anything? We
Nope.
can
Ready for this
call it
last one
call
of
it
2020 to end.
time out. Yes, indeed. It is our last news show of this year.
Yep.
And next week we will have our first news show of next year. What a good mathematician I am.
Well, and good riddance to 2020.
Yes, exactly. 2020 unloading. Please load up some
Please.
suitable replacement.
Please.
Please, can we have
Please.
some suitable replacement? Maybe not a year, just make it a virtual year-long engagement.
Yeah. Something.
Give us something. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, I guess we'll say goodbye to them. It's goodbye from this chap,
And it's goodbye from this chap.
and together we talk about VR, we talk about MR, we talk about XR, we talk about RR, and probably a lot of other R's too. But at the end of the day,
We
we are
are.
indeed. Very good. Well, look after yourself, folks. The same as any other week of the year. Stay safe and everything else. And if it is possible, virtually or online or media or whatever, have a happy new year. And when we see you again, it will be 2021 by any other name.
Huzzah.
So, okay, we'll see you then. Bye for now.